Imagine winning everything there is to win in football. Not just a league title or a Champions League, we're talking about every single major trophy a footballer could dream of, and doing it multiple times. You might think we're talking about someone like Messi, Ronaldo, or maybe Ibrahimovic. But no, we're talking about a winger from Spain who has always managed to avoid the spotlight. But not today. This is the story of Pedro Rodriguez, the brilliant winger who quietly won it all. It's an extremely rare feat for a player to manage to win every single major honour in club and international football. A man who has played with legends, scored in finals, and always showed up when it mattered most. Let's uncover Pedro's insane career. Pedro was born in 1987 on the Canary island of Tenerife, Spain. As a kid, Pedro was like any other boy on the island, passionate about football, constantly playing on dusty streets and dreaming of one day making it big. He wasn't a prodigy who was being chased by scouts at age 10. In fact, it wasn't until he was 17 that he got his big break, when Barcelona came calling in 2004. The club signed him for their famed La Masia Academy. Pedro quietly worked his way through the Barcelona B team, honing his craft and learning the famed tiki-taka philosophy under coaches like Pep Guardiola. But here's where it gets interesting. When Pep took charge of the first team in 2008, he brought Pedro with him. That decision changed Pedro's life and his career trajectory forever. He made his first team debut that same year and quickly earned a reputation for being reliable, quick, and tactically disciplined. He wasn't flashy, but he was effective. And in Guardiola's system, that mattered more than flair. By the 2009-10 season, Pedro had done something no one else had ever done before. He became the first player in history to score in 6 different club competitions in one season. La Liga? Check. Copa del Rey? Yep. Champions League? Of course. Add in the Spanish Super Cup, UEFA Super Cup, and FIFA Club World Cup, and you have one of the most complete seasons ever by a single player. Pedro had a knack for scoring in the biggest games. He netted in the 2009 UEFA Super Cup, the 2009 FIFA Club World Cup final, and even the 2011 Champions League final against Manchester United. That night at Wembley, surrounded by stars like Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, it was Pedro who scored the opening goal. From 2008 to 2015, Pedro won 5 La Liga titles, 3 Champions Leagues, 3 Copa del Reys, and numerous other trophies with Barcelona. His chemistry with Messi and David Villa, and later with Neymar and Suarez, made Barcelona's frontline one of the most feared in Europe. But even with all that success, the Spanish winger was never obsessed with being the main man. He understood his role. He worked hard, tracked back, made the right runs, and scored crucial goals too. If you thought his club success was impressive, wait till you hear about what he achieved with La Roja. Pedro made his international debut for Spain in 2010, just in time to be selected for the FIFA World Cup in South Africa. And guess what? He played a vital role in that tournament, starting in the semi-final against Germany and then featuring in the final against the Netherlands. He didn't score, but his movement and intelligence helped open up space for players like Villa and Iniesta. Spain went on to win their first ever World Cup, and Pedro had etched his name into the most exclusive group of all, World Cup winners. But he wasn't done. In 2012, he was part of the Spain team that won the following Euros, making Spain the first team ever to win 3 major international tournaments in a row. With that win, he became one of the few players in history to win the World Cup, the European Championship, the Champions League, and a full domestic treble with his club. But his trophy cabinet was still not full. By 2015, Pedro's role at Barcelona had started to fade. With Messi, Suarez, and Neymar forming an unbreakable trio, playing time became limited. So he made a bold decision and left his boyhood club to join Chelsea in the English Premier League. The transition wasn't easy at first. Moving from Barcelona's comfort zone to the intense pace of the Premier League is a culture shock for any player, but he adapted quickly, scoring on his debut and becoming a key part of Chelsea's attack. Under Antonio Conte, Pedro enjoyed a career resurgence. In the 2016-17 season, he helped Chelsea win the Premier League title, scoring vital goals and providing consistent performances down the right wing. That title made him one of the very few players to win both La Liga and the Premier League, but he still wasn't done. In 2018, the winger added the FA Cup to his trophy collection, and in 2019, he played a starring role in Chelsea's Europa League final win over Arsenal, even getting on the score sheet in the final. That victory added another major European title to his glittering resume. Let's pause here for a moment. At this point in his career, Pedro had won every single domestic title in Spain, every international title with Spain, every major club title in England, and both the Champions League and Europa League. Name another player with that kind of spread. Go on, we'll wait. Even though his twilight years had started, he was still fired up. After his time in England, most expected Pedro to wind down quietly. But Pedro, being Pedro, chose another adventure. In 2020, he joined Roma in the Serie A, and once again, even at 33, he showed that he still had the pace, the work rate, and the knack for scoring important goals. There he became the first ever player to score in the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, and a European final. Even when his minutes were limited, he found ways to influence games. And that's been the story of Pedro's entire career. Never the loudest, never the flashiest, but always effective. What makes this even more remarkable is what came next. He crossed the Rome divide and signed with Lazio, Roma's bitter city rivals. But Pedro didn't just move, he thrived. He became an important figure under Sarri, scoring in the Rome derby and won over Lazio fans with his attitude and effort. Even as he entered his mid-30s, Pedro was still running, still pressing, and still delivering in the final third. There are very few players in football who have shown this level of consistency over such a long period across 3 of Europe's top 5 leagues. Let's take a moment to run through Pedro's insane trophy haul, just to fully appreciate the scale of what he's accomplished. With Barcelona, 5 La Liga titles, 3 Champions Leagues, 3 Copa del Reys, 5 Spanish Super Cups, 3 UEFA Super Cups, and 2 FIFA Club World Cups. With Chelsea, 1 Premier League, 1 FA Cup, and 1 Europa League title. With Spain, 1 World Cup and European Championship. That's a total of over 25 major trophies, and not just as a squad player. Pedro scored in finals and regularly delivered clutch moments. He's not just someone who was there when trophies were won, he was often one of the reasons those trophies were lifted in the first place. And that's not even mentioning the individual milestones. The first player to score in 6 competitions in a single season, goals in multiple European finals, and the list goes on. Let's be honest, Pedro has never been marketed like a superstar. He doesn't have a signature celebration. He's not flashy on social media, and you won't see him in a bunch of commercials. But that's exactly what makes his story so compelling. While others chased headlines, Pedro chased perfection. He never complained about being benched. He never made noise in the press. He just showed up, trained like a monster, and performed when his name was called. Whether it was a Champions League final or a midweek league match, Pedro gave you everything. Ask any coach who's worked with him, Guardiola, Mourinho, Luis Enrique, Conte, Sarri, and you'll hear the same thing. He's a manager's dream. He made Messi's job easier. He made Hazard's job easier. He made Spain's fluid attack work more smoothly. And he did it all while staying in the background. That's rare in today's game. So how should we remember Pedro? Is he one of the all-time greats? Maybe not in the way we talk about Messi or Ronaldo, but in terms of impact, consistency, and winning, Pedro's resume stands tall next to anyone in modern football. He played with the best and made them better. He adapted to multiple systems, multiple leagues, and kept producing at the highest level well into his late 30s. He wasn't just a part of a golden generation, he helped define it. And here's the thing, very few players can say they won everything. Not just one league, not just one international trophy, everything. Every major club competition, every major international title, and most of those he won more than once. There's a quiet greatness to Pedro. He didn't need the Ballon d'Or to validate him. He didn't need headlines. He let his football do the talking, and that tells us all we need to know. In a world obsessed with star power and viral moments, Pedro is a reminder that greatness can be quiet too. Football isn't just about flashy skills and Instagram posts, it's about discipline, intelligence, and delivering when it matters. He's the guy who never let the team down, the guy who showed up in the finals, ran himself into the ground for the badge, and won more than most of us could have ever dreamt of. So next time someone brings up the greatest winners in football history, don't forget to include Pedro. Give us some bold calls for players you think Pedro has been better than. We'll start. Alexis Sanchez. Tell us yours below.